Hello, scientists. You've been learning about patterns of weather. Today, we're going to talk about synonyms and shades of meaning for some weather words that you've learned. Today, you will learn about words that are similar in meaning. These words have subtle differences. They are called synonyms. Let's get started. Some common weather words that you've learned are words like cold, hot, windy, rainy. We use those words to describe what the weather is like outside. Today, you're going to learn about more weather words that you can use to describe a day that's cold, hot, windy, and rainy. Let's take a look. So here are some words, some synonyms for the weather word cold. So our first word on the screen is cold. The second one says freezing, and it shows a person that's shaking and shivering. They're so cold, that means. And then the third word says chilly. That's when you feel a little bit cold. Those words are all synonyms for the word cold. We can use those words to describe what the weather is like outside. Now that we know that there's other words that we could use to describe the word cold, we are going to put those words in order. We call that shades of meaning. Just like when someone picks out a paint color to color their room, there's different shades of a color that they might choose from. So for example, I might want to paint my room yellow. And when I go to the paint store and I look at the paint samples, there's different shades of yellow. I could pick a light yellow paint color to paint my room, or I could go to the next shade up, which would be a medium yellow color to paint my room, or I might want to go with a dark yellow to paint my room. So it's all yellow colors, but there's different shades or different degrees of that same color. Just like there's different shades of yellow, there's different shades of meaning in words. Even though these words, cold, freezing, chilly, are all weather words that have to deal with how it feels outside, how cold it feels outside, we can put them in some type of order. So what we're going to try today is we're going to put these words in order from the least cold to a medium type of cold to very cold at the end. Can you figure out which word would go first? Which would mean like the least cold? It's cold, but not that cold. Would it be the word cold, freezing, or chilly? Think about it. What do you think the next word would be for cold? Do you think it would be cold, freezing, or chilly? And then finally, which word do you think means the most cold? Would it be cold, freezing, or chilly? Think about it. Okay, now that you've had time to think about the order you can put these weather words in, I'm going to show you the next screen. And this is what I came up with. Chilly is the least amount of cold. So that went first in the first box. Cold went second because it's in between. It's in between chilly, so it's a little bit cold, and in between freezing, very cold. And then the last word I put in the last box is the word freezing, because that means very cold. Let's try this again using a different weather word. Here's our next weather word. The word is hot. And there are synonyms for the word hot. So in the first, above the first picture, it says scorching hot. The next picture, it simply says hot. And for the last picture, it says sweltering hot. Take your time, look at the pictures. While you're looking at the pictures, I'm going to explain to you what each word means. So scorching hot means it's so hot. You're sweating, you're thirsty. It's so hot, it might even make you feel tired outside. The next word is simply hot. It's a hot summer day. And then the last word says sweltering hot. It's hot that it makes you sweaty. You're very hot. Now, we're going to try to put those words in an order from least hot to very hot. And we call that, again, shades of meaning. So the first word is scorching hot. So hot that it makes you sweaty and thirsty. You might feel tired. It's so hot outside. Where would you put that? In which box? The first box? The second box? Or the third box? Which the third box is for the weather word that's very hot. The first box is for the weather word that's hot, kind of hot. And then the middle one is in between. It's a bit hot, but it's not so hot. It's not very hot. Where would you put the next word? Hot. Which box would it belong in? And where would you put sweltering hot? So here's how I ordered those words. I put in the first box the word hot. And in the next box, I put the word sweltering hot because you begin to start sweating. It's that hot. And then in the last box, I put the word scorching hot because it's so hot. It's unbearable. You're thirsty. You might feel sluggish or tired. You're sweating profusely, like a nonstop sweat. Scorching hot is very hot. Let's try this again using a different weather word. Here's our next weather word, windy. There's some other words that kind of mean the same as windy, such as blustery. That's the first word above the first picture. That's when it's so windy outside. Things can blow away. Your umbrella might snap the opposite way, so it's unusable. The next word is windy. You might walk outside and your hair might fly in the air or your scarf might be moving. That's a windy day. And then the last word is breezy. It's just a light wind. It's not too strong. It's subtle. You might feel your hair move a little bit. All right, now you're going to try to put these words in some sort of order. And the order we're going to use is we're going to put the first word in the first box. That means the least amount of wind, not a lot of wind. And then the next box is for a day that's not so windy and not just a little bit of wind. It's in between those two. And then in the last box, I want you to think of what word would fit best in that box. What word means like very windy, a strong wind? Think about it. All right, let's see the order that I put these words in. And let's see if you put them in the same order. So in the first box, I put the word breezy because it's the least amount of wind. It's a light wind. It's not a strong wind at all. And then after that, I put the word windy because that's a little bit stronger than breezy, that type of wind. In the third box, I put the word blustery in the third box because that's a strong wind. It blows some stuff away on a day like that. Let's try that with our next weather word. Our next weather word is rainy. And here's some synonyms for the word rainy. So for the first picture, it says a torrential downpour. That means very heavy rain. It's raining a lot that day. There's so much rain. A day like that, if you go out on a day like that, you're going to get very wet. And there might be wind on a day like that, so your umbrella might pop the opposite way. So it's unusable. The next word for the second picture is the word drizzle. It's a light rain. Some people use umbrellas on days that are drizzling outside, and some people don't because it's not really a heavy rain. It's very light. And the third word is simply the word rainy. It's a normal rainy day where you are going to need an umbrella. You might need a rain jacket and rain boots that day too to stay dry. So here are three words: torrential downpour, drizzle, and rainy. We want to put these words in order. So in the first box, we want to put the word that means the least amount of rain. It's not so rainy outside. What word would you put in the first box? Torrential downpour, drizzle, or rainy? Think about that. In the second box, you want to put the word that means a little bit more than a little bit of rain, but not a heavy rain. It's somewhere in between those two categories. What word would best describe that type of rain? Torrential downpour, drizzle, or rainy? And in the last box, that means a heavy rain. The most amount of rain someone's going to feel outside. Which word best describes that type of rain? Is it torrential downpour, drizzle, or rainy? I'll give you a moment to think about it. So I ordered these words in the three boxes, from least amount of rain to the greatest amount of rain. The first word I put in the first box is drizzle. Did you think of that, putting drizzle in the first box? The second word I put in the second box was rainy. And the last word was torrential downpour. Did you have those words in the same order? So now we're going to wrap up what we learned today. You learned synonyms for weather words. Those are words that have similar meanings with subtle differences. For example, breezy, windy, blustery. They all describe a windy day, but they're a bit different. Next, you learn shades of meaning, or the degree of weather words, from least to greatest. For example, drizzle, which is a light rain, rainy, which is a normal rainy day, and then torrential downpour, which means a lot of rain. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and try using those words when you describe what the weather is like. Have a great day.